Hello, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. Mine wasn't so great as I've had and still have the dreaded lurgy. Tested positive this morning, so that's pretty annoying for me. But I'm feeling a lot better, so that's the good news. And I'm back at work, still in isolation, but I'm able to crack on with Rupple project, which is a big relief for me because we've got a lot going on and important stuff too. So it's good to get back to that. What I'm doing right now is I'm looking at our citizen science work, and especially with regards to our upcoming co-development workshop, which is going to take place in Lostwithiel on the 19th of October. So what I've decided to do is put this presentation together to explain to you what the workshop's going to be about, and it's just the start of a much larger process, which is going to continue all the way up to the end of the Blue Recovery project, which is at the end of 2023, and hopefully, who knows, it'll go beyond that as well. So I'll also give just a very brief overview of that wider process. We don't need to go into huge amounts of detail today, but I thought you might appreciate seeing how this fits into the big picture. Okay, so having listened back to my recording on the last slide, it seemed like every now and then the audio cut out. So I've off whether it's going to be any better or not. I'm going to find out in a minute. So where were we? Okay, so goal. What was the point of all this citizen science co-development work? So the point is to make a community-focused citizen science project. So that means it's not something that someone like me or any other individual is coming up an idea that we're coming up with and asking everyone to get involved with. The starting point is going to our entire community. We're lucky we've got loads of brilliant people that have got involved in Blue Recovery, and you've all already learnt so much about Rockpool wildlife. So we've got a great team already. So we're going to go to each and every one of you and ask for what is important for you, and why are you excited about getting involved in Rockpool citizen science, and what sort of questions would you like us to look at next year when we're doing our citizen science? That wasn't much better, but with it now, so I'm just going to carry on regardless, I'm afraid. So the framework that I've found for putting the whole thing together is basically stolen from this organisation, Cities. I'm not sure what an acronym rather, and what it stands for. It's an EU organisation. The website is Citizen Science Toolkit. EU, and it's really cool. It just gives a very nice, simple framework that I can outline to you guys, and we can work towards to base our project around, and make sure that we're involving everybody in every step of the process. So we build a project that the whole community can get behind. Okay, I'll stick the link to the city's website in the description for this video on YouTube and on Facebook, where I'll stick a few other links which are important to this process. So hopefully you should have them all readily available, but give me a shout if you're struggling to find anything. This is the framework. It's a simple 4-step framework: identification, co-design, deployment, and action. Identification means finding out what it is that's important to each and every one of us. So that's not just me, but that's everybody that's going to get involved. And this is the process that we're going to be starting, well, right now, really. So even ahead of the co-development workshop, we're going to be asking people for their views. And the kind of end point of that step is to come up with a question that we want to answer together. And then that takes us on to the next step, which is co-design, and we have to work together to find a way that's going to answer that question, not just in theory, but also in practice. So we have to think about the sort of logistical constraints and how many people we've got available. Can we recruit more people? Can we come up with methodology that people are going to enjoy and want to do on a regular basis, as that will at the same time collect data that will actually answer the question that we're interested in. These are the typical challenges of a citizen science project, and it probably helps a lot to have everybody involved at the very start, because then you can have you can get instant feedback before you even crack on with the data collection and whether it's going to work or not. Deployment. That's basically just cracking on and doing that, and hopefully we're going to be spending most of next year doing that, probably up to around about autumn time next year. The human relations part, I'm not sure what cities mean by that. I've been trawling their website trying to find out. Like maybe it's not that important, or maybe it is, or maybe it just naturally happens, whatever they mean. But I will know more. And then the last bit is action, and that will take place at the very end of our project next year, and that's all about taking what we've learned and sharing it with the wider world, and using it to try and drive change, depending on what we find, I suppose. It's trying to really sort of complete the entire process, scientific process, from start to finish, finishing not just with saying, yeah, that's it, we found something out, but also taking that step further and getting the information out there, and where it can actually potentially have an impact on the world around us. Okay, so this is the timeline that I've put together for the whole. I don't know how well this is going to work on this recording across different slides. Oh, seems to be working okay. So the phase one, identification. Well, this is the start of it, basically. We've got the workshop coming up later this month, and the idea is to get that completed by the end of the month or beginning of November. Then we need to work together to put together a plan for how we're going to answer the question that we've decided we want to answer. And we're getting given a fair bit of time there, 3 months, but probably need that with Christmas in the middle, and it's worth spending a lot of time at the planning stage and to make sure that we get everything right, because once we're up and running, there's really no going back at that point. We haven't got time to stop and then start all over again, so we want to get it right. So we'll put in a fair bit of time into making sure we do get it right. And then deployment, so that's when probably the most fun part of it all is getting everybody and out there on the beach and collecting data on whatever we decide that we want to collect data on, and we're going to want to do as much of that as possible between February and October next year, and that'll leave us with a bit of time at the end of Blue Recovery. Blue Recovery finishes at the end of 2023 to do some work and getting that information and telling everybody what we found, both locally and online, to try and get the information out there as much as possible. And also, I think that's going to be the time, well, maybe even before that, we're going to be thinking about the future, and hopefully by then we'll have identified and secured some additional funding to carry on Blue Recovery in some respect after the end of next year. And definitely the work that we're going to be doing here can really help us in terms of securing that funding. So that's all part of the last step as well. Okay, so just to have a look in detail about in this first step, the identification step. We won't do that with the other 3 steps now, because it's the identification step that we're going to be working on straight away. The first part is to really have everybody to think about what it is that they're concerned about, or doesn't necessarily have to be concerned about. But these words are taken directly from the city's website. It's more what people care about. Okay, so you can be passionate about something, not necessarily be worried about it, but equally there can be things that you're very worried about in terms of the proper wildlife and the natural world, and that's what you care most about. So the most important thing is to find out what everybody cares about, and to make sure that we collect everybody's views and opinions on that. So There'll be surveys, polls, and discussion groups. I'll mention a bit about the survey, which I put together at the end of this presentation. Probably have a poll going at some point to try and get a feel for what people are most interested in. And we have the discussion groups. So that will be both the co-development workshop in Lostwithiel, and we'll have discussions online as well. And it's quite an open book, but I think the one real constraint is that the work has to be focused on rockpool wildlife. Everything else is up for grabs, I would say, but rockpool wildlife is what obviously the Rockpool project is completely focused on, and it's also what Blue Recovery project is focused on. So that's non-negotiable, I'm afraid, and probably something that everybody's very happy with anyway. But it doesn't have to be conservation focused, and that's quite important to mention at this early stage. It could be something. Our work could just be purely ecologically focused. So we could that could be just looking at particular species, seeing what particular crab species likes to eat, for example, or how its diet changes from place to place or time to time. There's thousands and thousands of different ecological research questions we could ask, and evolutionary based ones as well. It's an incredible natural experiment of the tidal zone in evolution, and there's some brilliant research that's been done. I think both ecologically and evolutionary in that environment, particularly in this country over the last 100 odd years, to draw upon. So there's lots of different things we could do. It doesn't have to be conservation focused, but of course it can be. There we go. And once we've got everybody's thoughts, then we need to start focusing and whittling it down to just one particular concern. And when we do that, it might not actually end up being the thing that people are most interested in. If there's no logistical way of carrying that out, then we might have to look at the second or third option there. We need to think about whether we can actually answer the question as well as what are the most important questions to answer. Once we've gone through that first part of the identification process, the next part is actually taking that concern or that issue of interest and turning it into a research question. And this is actually quite a tricky process that we'll probably work with myself and some of the other people here that have got a scientific training to turn it into a very specific question that relates to the exact issue that we're interested in, but that can be answered. And the reason for that is it's important to try and get a clear answer on something, and the only way you can get a clear answer is to have a clear question in the first place. And this could potentially be one of the more painful parts of the whole process, because people naturally, particularly if they're not scientists, have more sort of general interest and not necessarily don't really want to get very, very specific. So, but it's an important part of the process if we're going to deliver something substantial at the end of the project. So that'll be the next step. And then the last step is community. And we can definitely, even though we've got lots of great people, the more people that we get involved, the more data we're going to collect and the better we're going to answer the question. The next step, once we've identified what we're looking at, is to begin that process of growing that community. Okay, folks, last slide, and it's how to get involved. Hopefully you do want to get involved. It's be brilliant if you do. So how can you do that? So first, and probably the most important thing, is to complete the Google form that I put together. It's a screenshot of it here, and I'll put the link to this in various places, so you should be able to find it nice and easily. It shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to complete. There's not that many questions there. It might take you a bit longer because there's an open-ended question at the end where you can just write a lot about the things that you care about, so you can take as long or as little time as you want over that bit. But please do fill in that form. And even if you can't come to the code development workshop that's coming up, do so, and it'll be the list of people that fill in that form that I use going forward in terms of who's going to be the driving group behind this project. Fill that in. This is driving me mad. Work. Yeah, so I think the best place for a lot of the online discussion is going to be on our Facebook group. So make sure you do sign up to the Blue Recovery Facebook group. Again, I'll stick the link to that in various places, so you can sign up. I think that's probably the best place for our online discussion. So we'll see how it goes. Can we get the last thing up? There we go. And then the date for your diaries, hopefully it's in there already, is our co-development workshop, which is going to be at Lostwithiel Community Centre on the 19th of October at 6:30 till 8. Hope lots of you can join us from Falmouth and Plymouth, or from beyond. But we will be able to provide transport from Falmouth and Plymouth, so you can indicate on the Google form if you're coming and need help with transport at all, and we'll make sure that we look after you. If you're not able to come for whatever reason, I'm pretty sure we're going to look to have an online version as well. Probably not at the same time, at a different time. So let me know if that's the case, and that you're not able to come, but you'd like to join in that way, and I can look to arrange an online meeting as well before we make any final decisions. And that's it from me today. I've enjoyed putting this together. I hope you've enjoyed listening. It's been useful for you. I should imagine I might do a few more of these in the future. Take care. Have a good week. Bye.